Hello and welcome to my channel. This week I'm making a Scandi style star decoration for my windows. I'm going to make a Christmas decoration or a couple of Christmas decorations. I want to make some Scandi style stars to hang in my window. So I'm just going to use the rim of this coaster. So it's not very deep, maybe half a centimetre, maybe 6 millimeters, I'm not sure, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pour some Aqua Cast into the outside, but I want to hang these on my window. So Aqua Cast, one, I don't want it to be heavy, and two, it is a ceramic and it's quite hard. And as I'm going to hang these, and they may sort of dangle and move, I don't want anything hard that might hit my window. I doubt it'll break it, but I don't want to chance that. So I'm going to add some of these polystyrene balls into this. I'm hoping it will make it a little bit lighter, but also I'm hoping that they will rise to the surface on the back and act like some padding to shield the glass. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up 100 grams of the Aqua Cast powder, and I will add 35 grams of water to that. So let me pop that on the scales and zero them. Now I'm going to put the 35 grams of water in first. So let's see if I can pour that way. There we go, 35. Okay, I'll tare that. And now I can try and add 100 grams of the powder. There we go, 100 grams of powder. So I just need to mix that now, so it's nice and creamy. Make sure that there are no lumps, and that's been mixed in from the sides and the bottom. By putting the water in first, you avoid any sort of clumps at the bottom anyway. So there you go, you can see that's mixed in quite nicely, very quick. So just get those lumps out of my bowl. Right, so now I'm going to add some of these polystyrene balls. So let's just cut the bag open. Right, I'm just going to mix that straight into the Aqua Cast. Don't know how much I'm going to need. Okay, I think that's probably enough for now. So let's see if I can get this into the edges. Might be easier just to dump it in and then move it round to the edges. Let's try that. Just get a tissue. So I don't really want any on the surface. I just want to get the outer edge. Hope that the liquid of the Aqua Cast will run down to the bottom and fill in, and then you'll just have the little balls floating around on the top. So I might have more than I need in here. Let's scrape some of those out. So I'm going to just try and move any of the liquid Aqua Cast off of the surface here. Just makes cleaning up easier, and also I can make sure that there is enough to run down to the bottom. So I'm going to leave that for an hour, and then I'll be back and see what I get out of it. Okay, this is ready to be demolded, and I'm just cleaning up the surface here so that I don't have to do too much sanding on the edges. So just using my spatula, and I'm just pushing down on the edges of the mould, and it's so thin that it's just cracking, and then I can scoop it off. Now this is an old mould, because I wouldn't recommend you do this with your favourite mould or anything particularly shiny, but I tend to use this mould for Aqua Cast, so it's pretty dull anyway. It is worth, I think, having a mould that you use for Aqua Cast and some that you use for resin, so I'm not worried about scratching this too much. And just get the last of that off. Let me just go and tip this into my dustbin. Now I do usually save all my pieces, but those I think were a little bit too thin. But you can of course save them and just throw them into your mixed up Aqua Cast, and they will work just fine, just to bulk it out a little bit. Okay, let's see now. I can actually pop this out and what it's like. I just want to be careful because I don't want it to snap. There we go. Ooh, that does feel much lighter than I think it would normally be. Yes, it's very bubbly and bumpy on the back. What does that feel like? So I can probably give that a bit of a sand down. I have got a few tiny bubbles because I did forget to go around the edges, which I should have done with a micro brush. I didn't do that, so hopefully I'll remember to do that on the next one. But I think you can see that actually all along this edge there's one bubble there, there's a tiny bubble there, and a couple there. For the most part the Aqua Cast did sink down to the bottom and fill the mould, so that's pretty good. So this now needs to dry completely, so I'm just going to sit this actually on a cake rack, and then I can fill this mould again and make some more stars, and I'll show you what happens once they're all dry. I want to make some beads with the Aqua Cast, and I've got these little moulds here, but obviously that's going to take a very small amount, so I don't need to mix very much up. So if you're doing small amounts, it's a 100 to 35 ratio, 100 powder, 35 water. So if you break that down into the tens, you can do 10 powder and 3.5 water. So I'm going to just mix up 20 grams. So I want 7 grams of water. So let me try 7 grams of water. There we go. And now obviously I only need 20 grams of the powder. So tare it. And then I can start adding the powder. Nearly there. There we go. So now I can mix that up, and that is the correct ratio. And there we go. That's the right consistency. Now you can make this a little bit more fluid to help get into all the little nooks and crannies. Not too much. I mean, it would really be a very small drop. So I am going to put a very small drop, if I can. literally there, that's it, no more than that. And that's enough just to make it a little bit more liquid, which should help it get into the mould. And because it's a thick round bead, the strength shouldn't be impaired in any way. Okay, so let's see if I can get that in these holes now. That's the trickiest part. So I'm just going to make white beads, and then I will paint any that I want, because it would be really difficult making small amounts of any colours. So I'm not going to fill that up. I'm just going to run my little stick around in there, and then drop them all in first. That one's too full. Okay, and I've got some slightly bigger beads as well. I'm going to use those too. Oh, right. If that happens, you can just scrape it off the top and move it into the next cavity. No wastage. And the same with this. Let's give that a little jiggle and a poke. So as I say, this would normally take about an hour to set, but because I've watered it down, I am going to give it a little bit longer. That's fine, and I can just get on with a few other things. One more there, maybe. Drop. No, it's probably enough on there actually. There you go. Right, so I'm going to leave those now. And then I'm going to carry on filling this mould. And I haven't got any wastage. You can see I've probably just got enough for a couple more in there. Whoops. Got enough for a couple more in there. And then once they are ready to demold, I will need to leave them to dry for a little bit before I can paint them. And then I've got one more thing to make, and I can put my stars together. Okay, so for the final piece, I've got this snowflake mould, and I'm going to use some glitter. This one just happens to be by Stampin' Up. It's called Dazzling Diamonds. It's just like an iridescent white glitter. And I'm going to use some UV resin to make a snowflake. So I'm just going to put my mask on, and then I'm just going to mix up some of the glitter and the resin, and then pour that in there and set it.
Snowflakes are falling, whirling around in the crisp and icy air. They found dancing lightly like a dream so fair, making magic everywhere. Lights are twinkling, streets aglow, footprints marking paths through snow. Carols echo, hearts beat fast, cheering laughter meant to last. Snowflake symphony in the night, sparkling under the moon so bright. Whisper secrets without a sound, in this winter wonderland we found. Children's laughter fills the sky, snowball fights and cocoa night, building forts and snowmen high, underneath the starry eye. Frozen breath like mist we see, wrapped in love and melody, holding hands the world stands still. Winter wonder, let's it thrill. Snowflake symphony in the night, sparkling under the moon so bright. Look like symphony in the bow, true and laughter meant to lies. Whisper secrets without a sound in this winter wonderland. Children's laughter fills the sky, snowball fights and cocoa night, building forts and snowmen high underneath the starry eye. Children's laughter men we found in this winter wonderland we found. Snowflake symphony in the night, in the night, sparkling under the moon so bright, moon so bright. Whisper secrets without a sound, in this winter wonderland we found. Snowflake symphony in the night, sparkling under the moon so bright, moon so bright. Whisper secrets without a sound, in this winter wonderland we found.
Okay, it's cured now, and I cured it from the front and the back, so it's time to see if I can get it out. And I think that's beautiful. It's really shiny, really crystals. So now I just need to make another one. I'm just going to pop that over to the side. Okay, so now it's time to see if these are set, and they should be. Pop them out of the mould. So that just needs a little sanding to clean that up. And I do need to let these dry a little bit longer, and then I can paint some. There's a few little bubbles I missed there, but I think you can see that it casts quite nicely. There's the little ones. So I'll pop these on a coke rack and let them dry for a couple of hours, because that's really all the time I've got. And I might actually put them, I've got a dehumidifier, so I might put that on just to help them, and a bit of a hairdryer maybe, just to speed up the process. And then I can paint them and put them together. Let me just pop those there and I'll show you. Here are the stars. Now I've partially sanded the back of this one and I'm happy with that. I quite like it. This one I haven't sanded at all yet, and I've, find out where I've done it, I've made a little hole there. So I've just got a hand drill and I'm just gonna guesstimate the center and just drill a hole. Keep turning. And it takes a few, not too long, just a little while. And I don't want to push too hard because I don't want to crack it. So there we go. And now I have a hole in the top. So I will be cleaning up the back of this, then suspending my star and putting my beads on. And as I say, these need to dry before I can do that, so I will see you back here when they are ready for the next step. Okay, so now I need to clean up my little beads. So you can see that that is a little rough and ready. So I'm just going to sand that gently. I don't want to take too much off. I don't want to make it a completely flat, but I just want to take that ridge off. Oh, sorry. But I just want to take the ridge off, which I've done. So I'm going to do the same for this one. And the same for this one. Okay, that's enough. Now, two of them I want to paint red. One I'm going to leave white. So the little one, I'm just going to put this on my micro brush stick, and I've got some cadmium red acrylic paint here. So I'm just going to get some water. And then I'm going to paint this red. I like to make my paint quite watery. I can go over it in multiple coats, but it does mean that it gives it a chance to soak in rather than lay thickly on the surface. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry and then I can coat that again. Okay, this one I'm just going to put on a paintbrush, and same thing, paint that one as well. Okay, so I'm going to let these dry now, and then it won't take that long because it will soak in, and then I can give them another coat. And then once they are done, I'm going to varnish them. So I'll be back when they're ready for that. I'm just using a bit of sandpaper just to knock off the sharp edges, and that will also help to disguise any of the bubbles that I had around my edge here. So I'm not trying to round them, I just want to take off any sharpness and just smooth out the holes. My next step is to suspend the snowflake. So now I need to thread some string. I'm going to use some of this, it's a sort of cotton or nylon, I'm not sure what it actually is, but it's a beading thread, and I'm going to use that rather than the clear monofilament line, because this is very plasticky and it's very stiff. It does not want to flow or mould in the same way that thread does. However, I am going to use this to help me bring the thread through. So let me put this in here and try and thread that into the hole. It does fit. Right, so I've pushed that through so that I've got a loop hanging underneath. Let me just move that out of the way for a second. And now I have my piece of thread cut. So I'm just going to pop that there. And I'm going to snug that there for a minute. And now I can attach my, that's a bit frayed, that end. Let's try this end. There you go. I've thread that. And I'm going to tie a knot. I don't want it terribly long, I want it just to dangle a little. So let's see if I can tie a knot here, not too big, because I do want to see if I can pull that through. I'm terrible at knots. There we go, pull that tight. And I've pulled that thread through now. And I can pull the knot out the top. And then I can adjust this to where I want it to hang, which is roughly there. So let me remove that into position, and I'm just holding it upright and letting it dangle so that it is where I would like it to be, because they always want to go in the opposite direction to the way you would like them, as this one is insisting on doing. I'm just going to take my UV resin, so I'm just putting a blob there now on the top. Then I will use my torch just to cure that in place. While I'm waiting for my beads to dry, I've decided I want even more bling. So I've just got some varnish here, and I'm going to use some of these silver flakes and attach them to the ring, the star, and this bead that I'm going to leave white. I'm just going to put the varnish. This is just an acrylic varnish that I've watered down slightly. 4 parts of the varnish and 1 part water. Should have done this before I put the thread through, but to be honest with you, I wasn't planning on it. This is a last minute change in plans, so I'm going with the flow. Stuff dries quite quickly, and I'm just going to put some on my little bead as well. So I'm just going to put some pieces here and there.
Snowflakes are falling, whirling around in the crisp and icy air. They found, dancing lightly like a dream so fair, making magic everywhere. Lights are twinkling, streets aglow, footprints marking paths through snow. Carols echo, hearts beat fast, cheer and laughter meant to last. Snowflake symphony in the night, sparkling under the moon so bright. Whisper secrets without a sound, in this winter wonderland we found. Children's laughter fills the sky, snowball fights in cocoa night, building forts and snowmen high, underneath the starry eye. Frozen breath like mist we see, wrapped in love and melody, holding hands the world stands still, winter wonder lets it spill. Snowflake symphony in the night, sparkling under the moon so bright. Snowflake symphony in the dark.
Right, I think that'll do. So I'm going to leave that now to completely dry, and then I can, as I say, brush off the loose pieces. So I'll be back when that's ready. So that's dry now, and you can literally just peel off any excess. You can use a brush or your fingers just to take off the extra loose pieces of foil. And so now I'm just going to give it another coat of the varnish just to seal that in. Just going to give I've already given the little beads a coat of the acrylic varnish, and I'm just going to do the same to the little red beads. So thinner coats are better than thick, and then you just keep applying until you get the shine you want. So I'm going to leave that now. And then once these are all done, I will be ready to put this together. So I'll be back then. Okay, so I've put a layer of UV resin over the top of the sparkles, the foil. And I did it primarily because I managed to drop this on the floor and I broke it into 3 places. So I thought that would give it some added strength. I did glue it back together, and then I put the UV resin over the top. And then I've sealed in some of this foil on here so that they look the same. So I'll finish that one in a minute, but this one now is ready to be continued. So I've got my beads which have been painted and varnished, so I need to string them. But I've got this lovely sparkly yarn, and that's what I'm going to use to hang it. So I'm just going to, I don't know how much I want, so I'm going to leave myself quite a lot. So a couple of feet, I think, there. So I'm just going to cut that. And then I'm going to pass the thread that I already put through there, and I've UV resined that. I'm just going to use that to tie this on. So that's in place now. And then what I want to do is pass these through the beads, or pass all of these threads through the beads. So let's see if I can do that. That's one. Let's turn it the other way around. So you just have to string the beads, and once I've strung them, I'm going to put a knot just above them. Just try and hold that down a little bit. And now that's ready to go in my window. So I'm going to complete the other one, and then I will post some pictures at the end. And here they are. I hope you've liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and comment. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you do so. It helps our channel. So thanks very much for watching, and please come back and see what I'm making next time. Bye.